think my son gonna be mad because I got on his hoodie that he bought his girlfriend.
Metro police say they received calls from a man saying he was being shot at by a vehicle that was chasing him. Witnesses also said unknown men were seen jumping walls and running through yards near the crash scene.
October 17th, 2025, midnight, 1 block from home, a yellow truck, a mother's scream. Everything ends in seconds. How many times have you warned someone you love? Don't meet strangers alone at night? Daisha Ketchum gave her son the same advice. But when a message lit up his phone just before midnight, offering a Nike Tech jacket ready for pickup, she wasn't about to let him go alone. Not at that hour, not to meet someone they'd never seen. So she grabbed her keys. 1 block, she thought. What could happen in 1 block? Here's what you need to understand. That message wasn't from a seller, it was bait, a setup designed to rob, not sell. And Daisha was about to drive straight into it. What would you do if protecting your child meant walking into danger with your eyes wide open? Stay with me, because what happened next will change how you think about every online transaction, every midnight favor, every time you say, "I'll come with you," to someone you love. But before we get there, you need to know who Daisha Ketchum was, because her story isn't just about how she died. It's about why she lived the way she did and why that got her killed. May 19th, 1987, to October 17th, 2025, 38 years on this earth. If you asked anyone who knew her, they'd tell you the same thing. Daisha was a light, not in some cliche way, but in the way that matters. She showed up. Long shopping trips with friends who needed to vent, late night calls when someone was struggling. The kind of person who didn't just say, "I'm here for you." She proved it. Her style, immaculate. Her energy, unmatched. Friends from Las Vegas, where she'd lived since 2019, called her a vibe. People back in St. Louis, her hometown, remembered her as the one who made every room better just by walking in. She was a mother to 2, Jalen, her 19-year-old son, and Michaela, her daughter. She was a partner to Anissa, who called her the love of my life and soulmate, words that carry weight when you mean them. 2 cities loved Daisha. Las Vegas became her home, but St. Louis never stopped being her roots. And on October 17th, she was supposed to be flying back to St. Louis that morning to celebrate her 20th high school reunion at University City High School. Reunion weekend, reconnecting with old friends, laughing about memories from 2005. Instead, she spent her last hours alive making sure her son wouldn't meet a stranger in the dark by himself. That was Daisha. Protector. It's what everyone who loved her remembers most, the trait that defined her, the quality that made her irreplaceable, and the reason she's dead. Because at midnight on October 17th, she wasn't thinking about reunions or old friends or plane tickets. She was thinking about her son, about a message that didn't sit right, about a transaction that felt wrong. She was supposed to be on a plane to St. Louis that morning, celebrating her 20th high school reunion, hugging people she hadn't seen in years. Instead, at midnight, she was driving her son 1 block from their home in North Las Vegas, just 1 block, and a yellow truck was waiting. What would you do if protecting your child meant walking into danger with your eyes wide open? Welcome to True Crime Footprint, where we unveil the darkest mysteries and the most terrifying true crime tales. Kindly hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of our new stories. Your support keeps these stories alive. The message came in late. Too late for legitimate business. Nike Tech jacket, ready for pickup. Midnight. Location? Just around the corner from their house. Jalen saw it first. High value item. Good price. Quick meetup. Everything about it looked like a deal. Everything about it was a trap. Here's the formula. Take something people want. Limited edition sneakers, designer jackets, gaming consoles. Post it on social media marketplaces where verification doesn't exist. Set the meeting for late hours when fewer witnesses are around, and wait. The buyer shows up thinking they're getting a steal. The seller shows up planning to take everything. These platforms have become hunting grounds. Buyers meet strangers in parking lots, empty streets, gas stations at 2 a.m. Most transactions go fine, but the ones that don't? People lose their phones, their wallets, their cars. Sometimes they lose more than that. Daisha knew the risks. She'd seen the news stories, heard about the robberies, warned Jalen about meeting people he didn't know. But when he told her about the pickup that night, she made a decision. He's not going alone. 1 block. That's all it was. She could practically see their house from the meeting spot. Drive there, wait in the car while Jalen made the exchange, drive back. 5 minutes, maybe less. What could go wrong in 1 block? They pulled up just before midnight. The street was quiet, residential. The kind of neighborhood where people sleep with their windows open. Then the yellow truck appeared. Jalen stepped out of the car. Disha stayed behind the wheel, engine running, eyes scanning. A figure emerged from the truck wearing a black ski mask. Middle of October. Vegas heat still lingering. No reason for a mask except one. The figure moved toward Jalen. Then came the gunshot. Not a warning shot. Not fired into the air. Aimed. Daisha's voice cut through the night. Get in! Now! Jalen didn't hesitate. He threw himself back into the car, adrenaline overriding thought. Daisha's foot slammed the accelerator before his door even closed. The tires screamed. The car lurched forward. Would you have stayed calm? Could you? Your child almost got shot. The person who tried to kill him is still standing there. Your heart is pounding so hard you can hear it in your skull. Every instinct is screaming, go, go, go. Daisha went, but the yellow truck didn't stay behind. It came after them, headlights blazing, engine roaring, closing the distance fast. This wasn't someone cutting their losses. This wasn't a failed robbery where the perpetrator runs and regroups. This was a chase. And that's when the nature of the crime shifted. That's when this stopped being about a jacket, about money, about anything resembling a typical street robbery. This became about witnesses, about faces possibly seen, about a 19-year-old who might be able to identify the person who just tried to kill him. The yellow truck accelerated. Daisha pushed her car harder, weaving through streets she'd driven 100 times, trying to get distance, trying to get home, trying to get anywhere with lights and people and safety. But the truck was heavier, faster, purpose-built for power, not speed, but weight is its own weapon. And they were using it. Because what happened next wasn't about robbery. It wasn't about a Nike Tech jacket or a midnight deal gone wrong. It was about making sure Daisha and Jalen never made it home to tell anyone what they saw. And the people in that yellow truck had a weapon Daisha couldn't outrun. Let me know in the comments. What would you do if you were in her shoes? These were streets Daisha knew by heart. Her neighborhood, her block, every turn, every stop sign, every house she'd driven past 1,000 times. But familiarity doesn't matter when you're being hunted. The yellow truck was heavier, built for work, not precision, but weight carries momentum, and momentum can kill. They weren't trying to scare her off. They weren't trying to make her pull over. They were trying to stop her, permanently. The impact came from behind. Sudden, brutal, calculated, metal against metal. The sound of it alone would have woken the neighborhood. The truck slammed into her vehicle with enough force to lift the rear wheels off the pavement. This wasn't a fender bender. This wasn't road rage. This was a weapon, 4,000 pounds of steel driven with intent. Her car jerked violently to the left, spinning out of her control. She fought the wheel, but physics had already decided the outcome. The vehicle careened off the road, straight toward a brick wall. The crash was catastrophic. Brick exploded inward as the car tore through the barrier and into someone's yard. The frame crumpled. Glass shattered. The impact was so severe that both occupants were thrown from the vehicle. Daisha hit the ground first. The force killed her instantly. Jalen landed several feet away, battered, disoriented, gasping for air his lungs couldn't seem to find. 1 block from home, 1 block. That's how close she was to safety. Close enough to see the lights from their street. Close enough that if she'd screamed, neighbors might have heard. 1 block. The yellow truck didn't stop to check if they were dead. Didn't slow down to assess the damage. It kept moving, tires screeching as it disappeared into the maze of residential streets, swallowed by the night. No license plates captured on any nearby cameras. No clear footage of faces. Just the mask. Just the color of the truck. Just the wreckage left behind. And Jalen lying in the dirt beside the crumpled car, staring at his mother's body. He was 19 years old. Minutes earlier, someone had fired a gun at him. Now he'd survived a crash that killed the person who saved his life. The math is cruel. He was the target of the initial shooting. She was the one who got him out. He survived the impact. She didn't. He watched his mother die protecting him. That's the weight he carries now. That's the image burned into his memory. Not the reunion she was supposed to attend. Not the laughter or the shopping trips or the late-night talks. The last thing he'll ever see when he thinks of her is that moment, her body on the ground, the yellow truck's taillights fading in the distance. Neighbors came running. Someone called 911. First responders arrived to find a scene that told a story in wreckage and blood. This wasn't an accident. This was murder, vehicular homicide, deliberate, premeditated the moment that truck started chasing. If you're a parent, you know what Daisha did. You'd do the same. You'd tell your kid to get in the car. You'd floor it. You'd try to outrun danger because letting them face it alone isn't an option. But here's what makes this unbearable. The people who killed her are still free. They're still driving that yellow truck, or they've hidden it, repaired it, repainted it. They're still out there, living their lives while Jalen relives the worst night of his every single day. And there's one clue that could change everything. A yellow truck, not white, not black, not silver like half the vehicles on the road. Yellow, a color you remember, a color that stands out, a color that, after ramming a car hard enough to kill someone, would show damage. Front-end damage, paint transfer, dents, evidence. That truck is damaged. That truck is traceable. That truck is somewhere in Las Vegas. And the clock is ticking. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Homicide Unit took control of the case within hours of the crash. Detectives arrived at the scene, documented the wreckage, collected evidence, and began building the case file that would determine whether Daisha Ketchum's killers would ever face trial. Weeks have passed. No arrests. No suspects named publicly. No press conference announcing a breakthrough. The investigation hinges on two things: Jalen's testimony and that yellow truck. Here's why the truck matters more than you might think. Yellow is rare. Walk through any parking lot in America and count how many yellow vehicles you see. Maybe one, maybe none. Most people choose white, black, silver, gray, colors that blend in, hold resale value, don't draw attention. Yellow does the opposite. Yellow gets noticed. Yellow gets remembered. And for trucks specifically, yellow usually means commercial use, construction companies, utility crews, delivery fleets, municipal vehicles, the kind of trucks that belong to businesses with records, with GPS tracking, with employees who clock in and out. That makes it traceable. But here's the problem. The front-end damage from ramming Daisha's car would be severe. We're talking bent frames, cracked bumpers, shattered headlights, paint transfer from her vehicle embedded in the metal, the kind of damage you can't hide with a quick buff job. Fixing that costs thousands, and it leaves a paper trail, insurance claims, body shop invoices, parts orders. Unless you don't fix it, unless you stash the truck in a garage, cover it with a tarp, let it sit while the heat dies down, or you strip it for parts, or you repaint it and hope no one looks close enough to see the frame damage underneath. Forensics has evidence from the crash site: paint chips, debris, pieces of the yellow truck left behind when it tore through Daisha's car. They can match that evidence to the vehicle if they ever find it. But first, they have to find it. The mask creates another problem. Black ski mask, full face coverage, no skin tone visible, no facial features, no identifying marks. Jalen can describe the build: average height, average weight. He can describe the movement: aggressive, purposeful. But those descriptors apply to thousands of people in Las Vegas alone. Voice? The gunshot happened too fast. If words were spoken, Jalen doesn't remember them. Trauma has a way of narrowing focus to the things that matter most. The gun, the mask, the truck. The truck is the smoking gun, not the person, the vehicle. Detectives are reviewing surveillance footage from every business, every home security system, every traffic camera within a mile radius of the crash. They're cross-referencing vehicle databases, searching for yellow trucks registered in Clark County, tracking down owners, checking alibis. But without a plate number, without a witness who saw the truck before or after the attack, it's slow work, methodical, frustrating. The LVMPD has issued a public appeal. Anyone with information is urged to call their homicide unit directly. Someone saw that truck. Someone knows who owns it. Someone is covering for a killer. What if you've seen it? What if it's parked in your neighborhood right now, repainted, tucked behind a fence, hidden in plain sight? But there's another layer to this story, one that could muddy the waters if we're not careful. In 2018, a federal case out of St. Louis involved a woman named Daisha Ketchum. Court records tied her to a blue Chevy Impala used in a retaliation shooting. Same name, same city ties. St. Louis was Daisha's hometown, but it's not the same person. The vehicle doesn't match. Blue Chevy Impala in 2018, yellow truck in 2025. The profile doesn't match. The woman in the federal case was connected to retaliatory violence. The Daisha Ketchum killed in Las Vegas was a devoted mother, a partner, a friend who showed up when people needed her. The timeline doesn't align. The woman who died in 2025 was 38 years old, building a life in Las Vegas, preparing to fly home for a high school reunion. The Daisha Ketchum who died protecting her son in 2025 was not involved in violence. She was a mother, a partner, a protector. Don't let confusion bury the truth. Share this story. Tag someone who might have seen that yellow truck. Spread the word to anyone in Las Vegas who works in construction, utilities, auto repair, industries where yellow trucks are common. Because the real Daisha deserves justice. But justice requires more than outrage. It requires closure. It requires someone picking up the phone and making the call that cracks this case open. And for her family, closure is still 1,000 miles away. Will anyone come forward? Will that yellow truck ever be found? Crime scene, Las Vegas, Nevada. Memorial, St. Louis, Missouri. 2 cities, one family torn between both. Jalen and Michaela didn't just lose their mother. They lost her 1,000 miles from where she was laid to rest. Daisha died in Nevada. She was buried in Missouri. The distance between those 2 points isn't just geography. It's grief stretched across state lines, logistics piled on top of loss, a family forced to navigate the impossible while still reeling from the unthinkable. November 3rd, 2025, Resurrection and Life Christian Center in St. Louis. That's where family and friends gathered to say goodbye. The funeral service was followed by interment at Laurel Hill Cemetery, where Daisha's body now rests in the soil of her hometown. But her spirit, that's scattered across everyone who loved her. Anissa's words in the memorial guest book cut straight to the bone. The love of my life, eternal as one. Not past tense, not was, is eternal. Because love like that doesn't stop when the heart does. Anissa made a vow to protect our children, Jalen and Michaela, the 2 people Daisha spent her life nurturing, guiding, shielding from harm. Now that responsibility falls entirely on Anissa's shoulders, along with the weight of unanswered questions and a case that hasn't delivered justice. Friends from both cities posted tributes that read like love letters, a light to everyone who knew her. Always there when it mattered most, the flyest style and the biggest heart. Memorial trees were planted in her name. Keepsake books were filled with condolences, stories, promises to never forget. The outpouring was massive, genuine, raw. One friend wrote, "This loss shook us to the core. Not saddened, not upset, shook. Because Daisha's death didn't just take a person, it removed a foundation. The kind of friend you call at 2 a.m. The kind of mother who drops everything to make sure her kid is safe. The kind of partner who makes you believe in soulmates. Now she's gone, and the people who took her are still free." Let's talk about what Jalen lives with. He was the bait, the intended victim of the initial shooting. The transaction was set up to lure him, not his mother. He was the target. She became the casualty. He survived the crash that killed her. He was ejected from the same vehicle, landed in the same yard, but his heart kept beating while hers stopped. He carries the memory of her last words. "Get in, now!" A command born from pure maternal instinct. The last thing she said to him was an order to survive, and he did. But survival comes with a cost. He's the key witness, the person investigators need, the one who saw the mask, heard the gunshot, felt the impact. The burden of that will never leave him. Every time he closes his eyes, he's back in that car. Every time he hears a loud noise, he's dodging bullets. Every time he sees a yellow vehicle, his chest tightens. Michaela's burden is different but no less crushing. Her mother died on what should have been a celebration trip. October 17th wasn't supposed to be about death. It was supposed to be about reunion. Daisha had a plane ticket to St. Louis. She was going to walk into that high school gym, hug old classmates, laugh about memories from 2005. Instead, Michaela attended a funeral. The reunion her mother never made it to became a memorial service her daughter couldn't escape. A family fractured across the state lines. A mother who can never come home. Here's the reality no one wants to face. The yellow truck is still out there. The person in the ski mask is still free. Every sunrise they see is another one Daisha doesn't. Every meal they eat, every breath they take, every night they sleep in their own bed. Daisha doesn't get that, and her family doesn't get closure. Every day without answers is another day of torment. Another day Jalen wonders if he'll ever feel safe again. Another day Michaela wakes up and remembers her mother's gone. Another day Anissa keeps a promise to protect children who shouldn't have to grow up without their mom. Go back. Look at the timeline. The message came at midnight. The transaction was set up near their home. The mask was already on when Jalen stepped out of the car. The gunshot came fast. The chase was immediate. The ramming was deliberate. This wasn't a panicked escape. This was calculated murder. How many online transactions end like this? How many families are one midnight message away from devastation? How many parents make the same choice Daisha made, refusing to let their child face danger alone and pay the same price? She did what any parent would do. She got in the car. She drove him there. She tried to protect him. She was a protector, and she died protecting. That's not just loss. That's sacrifice. But it's also a crime that demands an answer. If you have information about a yellow truck in the North Las Vegas area on October 17, 2025, damaged, repainted, hidden, anything, call the LVMPD homicide unit. If this story moved you, share it, tag someone, spread it across every platform you have access to. Subscribe to this channel because Unsolved doesn't mean forgotten. We'll keep covering this case until there's justice. Daisha Ketchum's family is waiting, Jalen is waiting, Michaela is waiting, Anissa is waiting, and so is justice. October 17th, 2025. 1 block from home, a mother's last drive, a yellow truck, and a case that's not closed until someone speaks up. Will it be you? Our hearts ache for Daisha's family. Words feel inadequate, but please know you are held in deepest sympathy and prayers. May you find strength and comfort in the memories of Daisha. Thank you for watching, for your attention, and for joining us on this journey of reflection. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and above all, stay safe. See you on our next video.